as we move into September, are we going to see a possibility of the two main people getting that handled, especially with John Dem? I know bloggers never fabricate a rumor, but you know what's out there at the end of the year that could happen. I mean, and us bloggers, we would never be accused of creating more drama than it needs to be, but is there a chance that that's going to happen in this upcoming month with both John and Ron?
Yeah, I mean, and Thad Levine also. I can't say enough about the job that they've all done, and there's particular attention that's focused on John. I mean, there were concerns that he might opt out during the course of bankruptcy. I'm not aware that that's a topic that ever came up. He is so pleased with how things turned out with the sale. He's done a great job. He's got a great team around him, both in the front office and also down in the clubhouse with Ron and his coaches. And we're absolutely committed to keeping a great team together for the long haul. So, it's something that's very important to us. We've already had those discussions internally, and I have no expectation that anything's going to change.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Matthew from Carrollton, and I had a quick question about, you talked about lowering prices and lowering concessions, and I know everyone's always excited when beer prices go down. You talked about you've seen great success with your minor league programs in Myrtle Beach, State College, and Altoona. What are some of the other things aside from lowering prices that you're looking to bring from a minor league atmosphere to a major league team?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is we want to take this great, beautiful, well-designed ballpark that we have and update it, particularly when it comes to sort of the bells and whistles that have to do with the fan experience. So we want to upgrade the video board. We want to upgrade the sound system. We want to have more agility through technology so we can change prices on the fly anywhere we want, whenever we want. We want to improve, there are a lot of things we can do to emphasize more of the history, not just of the Rangers, but of baseball throughout the state of Texas, so we can use technology to do that. So there are a lot of things we can do that add to the sizzle, but to do it in a way that is reverent about the beautiful design of this ballpark. I mean, Tom Schieffer and President Bush, when they designed this park, they had the right idea. There's so much Texas State history all around the park. We think that we can do a better job of bringing it out and making it part of the fan experience. Nolan came up with the idea before the Yankee series of having the six-shooters run around with the Texas State flag every time we score. It's great, because that's where we are and that's who we are, and I think that's a great idea. You're going to see more of that. So that's one aspect of it, but the other is, I think, to restore more of, I guess I'll call it the intimacy between the franchise and the fans. I mean, one of the things that folks like so much about the minor leagues is there's less of a separation between the franchise, the front office, the fans, the players, and that's something that, that's the only way that I know, and that's the way that I want to try to make it here. Now, because of the scale, obviously, it's more challenging, but I think that we and a lot of clubs can do a better job of that, and that's something that we're committed to, and we're going to do that. And the other thing we're going to do is, I've always thought it was kind of strange that, here in North Texas, you've got the Cowboys, who are the ultimate big market franchise in a big market league. And the Rangers have always kind of been this quasi small market franchise in exactly the same community. Does that make sense to anybody? So, one of the first things that we did, in fact it was a week ago Sunday, is we placed a full page ad in the newspaper that was in the form of a letter from myself and Nolan that emphasized our commitment to our fans and that you own the franchise. We want and we need your suggestions, and we're committed to making this an affordable, memorable experience and doing everything we can to serve you. And that was one part of the message. But the other part of the message was that we ran that ad, that letter, in every major newspaper within a 4-hour drive of the ballpark. Because the message we wanted to send is that this is not a small market franchise. This is the biggest market or community in Major League Baseball to only have one team. And it's time that, as a franchise, we started acting that way. And I said back in January that the Rangers were a sleeping giant, and together it's going to be fun to awaken the beast. Well, I think this season you've started to see that happen. And in everything that we do, that's one of the goals we're going to try to achieve, because if we can harness all of the potential that we have, not just here in the Metroplex, but in the expanded community and region and state to which the Rangers have a chance to make an impact, we can be just a dominant franchise And we can have resources that are second only to the Yankees. And if we continue to be as smart in our decisions as Nolan and John and Thad have been when they didn't have resources, imagine what we can do. So that's what our objective is. I mean, there's no reason why we should have to take a back seat to anyone financially other than the Yankees. And you know what? We'll just go out and make better decisions than they will, and we'll make up for it that way.
Next question.
Howdy, Chuck. Jason from Carrollton, by the way, Fort Worth. And my question was, I want to expound on what you started talking about the fan experience. My question is surrounding specifically the video scoreboard. I know that when you guys first took over, there was talk of to actually get something in place. We're starting next season, we have to do something really quick, something like end of this month, early next month. I don't know if you're at liberty to kind of talk a little bit more about that. What all goes into that? Where are you looking at maybe potentially placing it? Are you going to try to replace the little light bright scoreboard, or as I call it, out there in center field with the stats? And you know, are we close to getting that done? You know, just kind of where are we at on that?
Well, the lead time is really, really long. In fact, originally the companies were involved in it, and it's a complex thing because you got the video board itself, then you've got the software that goes with it, and then there's the stat system. There's actually a lot of different elements to it. So what you have to do is you have to place the order. You got to design it. You got to build it in the factory, ship it over here, erect all of the steel that's necessary to hold it. Then you got to install it, and then you got to learn how to operate it. So it's a significant project. So originally, they all told us that we would have to make a commitment to them by the end of August, and that's just impossible. I mean, you can't make a decision of that significance in a week or 2 weeks. So right now, more realistically, it would be by the end of September. We're spending an enormous amount of time on it. We've hired a company here that is an expert in it who's advising us on it. We're meeting with each of the major suppliers. Chuck has been an integral part of that. Chuck and Rob Matwick and myself and others in our front office are looking at that. We're not going to do it in a half-baked way. And we don't want to just imitate what anyone else has done. We want to kind of move on to whatever the next generation of how these things are approached is going to be. Not just in terms of the quality of the board, but what we can give you with it. We can give you plenty of statistics and multiple replays and all sorts of things that bring the personality and the talents of the players forward more effectively, but without in any way distracting you from what takes place between the lines. So we're trying really, really hard to be able to give the green light by the end of September. But if we can't do it right, then we'll defer it. And it's one of those things that you either get it done in time to be operational by opening day, or you can't do it till the next year. So hopefully everyone understands we are doing absolutely the very best we can. There are other things that we'd like to do that we're putting on the back burner because we're putting so much time and attention into this because the lead time is so great. But I can promise you that when we do it, your jaw's going to drop open because what we've seen is possible is beyond spectacular. It's just unbelievable. And we're going to make sure that when we do it, your mouth just drops open and you say, wow.
Next question.
Chuck, Pete Glazer from Anderson. Have you determined what percentage of your season ticket holders are on the Dallas side or the Fort Worth side? And if the auditor won't work with you, come over on the Dallas side. These be a mass trades.
Well, questions about the season ticket holders in Dallas and Tarrant County.
Well, actually, it's funny you asked that because I just asked for that information on Friday. So that's one of the things I want to see. Right now, my sense is that there's more, we have a greater level of attendance from the West than from the East. Now, one of the reasons for that is because historically the transportation coming from the East wasn't so good. But in part because of the Cowboys coming out, we're almost done on $3 billion worth of improvements to roads all over the region. So it's much, much easier. I mean, 161 just opened up. It's much, much easier to get to the ballpark now than it ever was before. And particularly as fans come out for events at Cowboy Stadium, if they're coming from Dallas or from up the Expressway, I think they're going to see how much easier it is to come to the game. So whatever the ratios of attendance were before is interesting, but it's not terribly meaningful to me because, number one, we've never been as interesting as we, at least in the last decade, as we are now, and the transportation's never been better than it is now. Now that being said, I'd like to see some sort of mass transit that makes it easier to, jump on a train and head out from Dallas to get here. I think that would be great. But it's never been easier to get to the ballpark, and there's never been a better show to come see than it is now. So whatever the facts have been before, I think will be different going forward.
Next question.
With the news today of letting 2 minor league affiliates contracts expire, I was curious to see what advantages would come to the organization if, say, 2 minor league affiliates were owned under the same ownership group.
Well, I think the primary things that you're looking for when you're looking at a minor league affiliation are if there's a benefit to geography, that can be a factor. From a player development standpoint, if your minor league clubs are close to you or at least close to each other, it's easier to keep tabs on them. You can do it more effectively, and you can provide a better development to your players. That's one factor. You want to be in the best facilities that you can be in, and you want to have a good working relationship. So those are all the factors to look at. Now, if there's a related form of ownership, that could be a benefit too, but the other 3 factors are really more important.
Thank you.
Next question.
A couple of things, and I know you said several times that, we're the owners, we own the team, and so I think we're all wondering when we get to sit in the owner's box, is that coming out?
Well, you do every game.
Yes, that's true. My real question is this: in terms of ownership, it feels like to us that you own the team, even though I realize there's a whole group, and I'm just wondering, what's the decision-making process? Chuck, you say that we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Is that a team? How does that work out? And what that kind of segues into, is there a day and time when we see that Chuck owns the team and Nolan doesn't, and these other guys don't, what's the future look like?
So he's wanting to know who your boss is.
It's my wife. The way our ownership group is set up, first of all, we have a great group of partners, and their patience and perseverance through this process was really remarkable. Not one person dropped out during all the many months of delay, and at the end of the process, we had to step up and pay significantly more than we were going to originally. Nobody blinked. So that's a real credit to everybody, and I'm appreciative, and I know that all of us are. The way we're set up is, and I've said this publicly before, so this is nothing that's out of school, but on a day-to-day basis, all of the decision-making authority rests with me. The baseball rules require that one person be the sole exclusive decision-maker. We do have a board of directors, and the board of directors' principal role is with the annual budget. So when it comes to the annual budget, that's something that is a collective decision. But on the other hand, all of our investors chose to participate because they agreed with the vision that I outlined, and I just don't see that that's going to be a source of controversy at all. Now, on the same token, though, our investors are a group of really successful people, almost all of whom live here in the Metroplex, who devoted their lives not only professionally and personally, but in terms of all of their good works in the community as well. And I'd be a fool not to seek out their advice because, as I said, as a franchise, we want to learn every day. And as an individual, I want to learn every day. And there's a lot that I can learn from each of them. So they're an invaluable resource. They've become great friends. And I'm certainly going to take full advantage of everything that they have to offer.